Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Friday morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing well out there this morning and having a wonderful start to your day. And I hope everyone's had a great week out there. It's about to head off into a very active weather weekend. And that's what we're here to talk about. We're going to speak on severe weather chances first. There's severe weather expected for really today, just not a very high threat. There's severe weather expected for the middle of the country for tomorrow, but Sunday and Monday definitely look like the big days. Now, we're already seeing something for later next week, but we're not going to speak on that much. I'll speak on it just a little bit, just show you the severe weather outlook, but we're really going to focus in on what's going to happen over the next few days. So we'll speak on the latest on severe weather as far as these outlooks. We'll talk about the storm system itself that is going to bring all this severe weather, and we'll speak on the ingredients. That'll be a portion of the video where I kind of nerd out with you guys and to give me an opportunity to explain this in a way where you folks as the audience can understand, and hopefully you do. If you got any questions, please put it in the comments. I'd love to answer them. I mean, it is my passion, so I love talking weather, so definitely put it down there in the comments. And then we'll talk about the winter weather side of this. And, you know, a lot of people are just going to have all eyes on the severe weather. But for our folks in the upper Midwest, the UP of Michigan, even the interior sections of the Northeast are going to get the potential for a damaging ice storm. This could be quite significant. So we're going to spend some time on that too. We're not going to have enough time to go into today's forecast. A lot of what I talk about will be today into tonight, but Friday mornings are always a tricky morning for me. I have to get to the school a little bit early, so we'll have to leave you hanging there, but I got you covered as far as all this active weather upcoming over the next few days. If you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. If anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put it in the comments below. Folks, do want to say right off the dot, spring is kicking my butt as far as pollen, stuff like that. My throat's a little closed up, so there might be more pauses in this video. I might have to just pause in the middle of talking a little bit just to kind of swallow and to, just make sure my throat is not too irritated, because I am going to talk for about 30 minutes here. So let's get rocking and rolling. So this is the latest outlook for Sunday. They have upgraded a category, and it's for a pretty large area. This orange area, that is an enhanced risk. So it goes marginal dark green, slight is in yellow, enhanced in orange, moderate is in red. That's not on your screen yet. It could upgrade to a moderate, and high risk, it will show up in pink. Right now we have a pretty huge area that has a level 3 out of 5 risk of severe weather. So let's talk about who that covers. That covers Indianapolis down to St. Louis, up to Bloomington, the entire southern 2/3 of Illinois, most of Indiana. It stops just shy of South Bend. It covers Cincinnati, Dayton, Louisville, down to Lexington. It covers Evansville, Paducah, central, eastern Kentucky. It goes down to Middle Tennessee, including Nashville, Memphis, Jackson, Tennessee, includes Huntsville, not quite technically, but you might as well include them, but Florence. And I will say, don't get too caught up on where the cutoff is, where the outlook as far as enhanced, slight, risk of severe weather in all these regions. But Florence, enhanced risk, basically the northern one half of Mississippi has an enhanced risk, including Greenville, Tupelo, many areas. The far northern sections of Louisiana has an enhanced risk. And almost all of Arkansas has an enhanced risk, except a far western Arkansas, like Fort Smith, Fayetteville, technically a slight risk, but Little Rock. And we've already talked about Missouri, the Boot Hill, Poplar Bluff, you guys have an enhanced risk. And this gets all the way up to just shy of Chicago. Slight risk, level 2 out of 5, risk of severe weather. Detroit, the entire southern half of lower Michigan. The rest of Ohio, including Cleveland, Columbus, Toledo, Parkersburg down here, almost down to Charleston. Well, it does include Charleston. Huntington includes just about the rest of eastern Kentucky, but it does cut off a little bit into a marginal risk. But eastern Tennessee, Knoxville, Chattanooga, you guys are included into this, down to northwest Georgia, Dalton, Rome, all the way down to Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Jackson, Meridian, Hattiesburg, Louisiana, Alexandria, Shreveport, all the way back over to Dallas and sections of eastern Texas, includes a very small section of eastern Oklahoma, up to Springfield, Missouri, Columbia, Missouri, all the way up to Galesburg, Davenport, Iowa, Chicago. So yeah, I'm not going to go through all those with a dark green, the level 1 out of 5 risk, but this is a huge area. All we know at day 3 is that there is, in this red area, a 30% risk of severe weather within 25 miles in a given location. That can be tornadoes, that can be damaging winds, or that could be large hail. There's also, in this red area, a 10% risk of significant severe weather. That could be strong tornadoes, EF2 or stronger tornadoes, very large hail exceeding 2 inch in diameter or larger, or very, very strong winds, like winds exceeding 70, 75, 80 mile per hour plus winds. So that even risk of significant severe weather extends a little bit into that yellow area. You see how the outline of it kind of goes a little bit into the yellow area, which the yellow area is a 15% risk of any severe weather. But you know, some of those areas have a risk of severe weather also. So like I said, yellow area, 15% risk of any severe weather. Red area, 30% hatched risk, which hatched means in the severe weather world, you got a risk of significant severe weather. So this is a pretty big deal, guys. And this is uptrended, unfortunately, and this is a large area that runs the risk of severe weather. Now let's talk about Sunday. This has gotten larger. They haven't narrowed it down any. They made it larger. So we have a level 2 out of 5 risk of severe weather from southern New England all the way down to northern Florida, all the way back down to New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and just about the entire central and eastern Gulf coastline. So, I mean, it includes all the Carolinas, all of Virginia. No point really mentioning town names because, I mean, it includes these entire states. It includes all of West Virginia, just about all of PA except Northwest PA. It includes all of southern New York, including Binghamton, all of Connecticut, Rhode Island, just about all of Massachusetts, all of Georgia, all of northern Florida, the panhandle of Florida, just about all of Alabama, except like up here towards Florence, and the entire southern half of Mississippi. Level 2 out of 5 risk of severe weather. We'll talk about this day also. I do want to mention, and I know we've done this 2 videos in a row where we kind of backpedal, but tomorrow's severe weather risk has uptrended. And if you've been listening to me here on this channel, I've been talking about how I did think that we would get an uptrend for tomorrow. And we have a slight risk, level 2 out of 5. This is for tomorrow. So this was that day where we were going to have that capping in place, that area of warm air aloft that kind of prevents these updrafts from strengthening and these storms from getting stronger. It looks like that cap is now going to break, and we're going to get explosive thunderstorms that form like in Kansas up into the Midwest. So level 2 out of 5 risk of severe weather for tomorrow. Topeka, Kansas City, down to Tulsa, Wichita, over to Columbia, Missouri, down to Joplin, up to St. Joseph. So we'll speak a little bit on this too. Right now, 2% risk of a tornado. The wind threats, just that 5% risk, but it's really driven off hail, guys. We could get very large hail in this area right here, over 2 inch in diameter or larger hail. So let's talk about the storm system that's driving all this. And we're going to start off Saturday morning, tomorrow morning. You see this 997 low, and I just realized I do not have my drawing tool up, which stinks. I hate when I forget to do that before I start the video. So we can draw on this a little bit. But if you look right here, we have a 997 low. This will kind of move in general this way, or maybe a little bit north of that arrow I just drew. So we'll get this in motion, and we're still not fully in range of short-range models. So we kind of have to take a look at global models still, but soon enough we'll be able to get away from that and look at short-range models. But this is the European model. All right, 997 low. This will get some weather going for sure. And there is the cold side with the winter weather breaking out. We'll talk about that more here in a second. But we're getting into tomorrow evening. Looks like the low kind of disappears, but it's still there. There it is, popping up again. And you see these thunderstorms right into here. They kind of get going here in Kansas, Oklahoma. These will have the capability of producing all hazard. That's why you have that slight risk for tomorrow in this region. So we got to watch out for those storms. And we keep going to later Saturday night, tomorrow night. And then we're getting into the wee hours of the morning, Sunday morning. We could still have some thunderstorms ongoing in this region, kind of leftover energy. And I think we're going to have a surge of moisture rumbling through the mid-south, the deep south, Sunday morning. Already thunderstorms ongoing. 999 low cruising over Iowa. We keep going here. This could strengthen, kind of stayed around the same strength, but regardless, a pretty decently strength a low pressure, 997 going through southern areas of Wisconsin. We could get some thunderstorms already erupting across Illinois. A lot of scattered showers and storms, even away from this low, developing across the southeast. So, even though Monday might be your bigger severe weather day across the southeast, I still think we're going to get widespread showers and storms. But we get into Sunday afternoon. Now, it does look like things begin to clear out in this entire region here. Okay, so that's going to allow for the atmosphere to become unstable, and we'll talk about the ingredients here in a second. But right now, you're just seeing blobs of colors. I mean, the orange, the yellow, greens, reds. Just think of that as strong to severe storms. And like I said, we'll be able to look at these short-range models when they get in range, which they will be in the next 24 hours. But you just see, like this is getting into late Sunday evening, you just see a lot of storms right into here. Now, just because you don't see blobs of storms up here in Ohio, that doesn't mean there's not going to be storms up in Ohio. But it just shows the idea of where storms are likely going to be. And it's right across this enhanced risk area. Low pressure up here. This is pulling up all the ingredients for severe weather in this area where you see the splotches of different colors popping up, which is our strong to severe storms. And then this will continue into the overnight hours Sunday. We'll take it into Monday morning, waking up to probably widespread showers and storms across the deep south, all the way up into the Appalachian mountain range. And then we start to get into midday Monday, and these storms will continue to move into the southeast. Now, I know this just looks like I've mentioned all the time, just splotches of green and yellow and whatever. But think of this as widespread showers and storms. And as we're starting to get into Monday afternoon, I think we'll have a lot more storm fuel in the southeast. But we'll still have just enough storm fuel all the way up into southern New England, tons of shear up here, to drive a damaging wind threat. And we keep this line of storms going, and then finally it begins to exit the U.S., and we're done with it, and then we have to turn around and watch our next storm behind it. So that's kind of a look at how the storm is going to sort of behave. Now, I don't know why we got that up. I think that was something that I had up, and I decided just to get away from it. But I do want to show you kind of a peek at Saturday and what the HRRR model is showing. And it does show some very strong to severe storms popping up. For example, look at this one kind of right outside of Omaha, kind of north of Lincoln. It shows a rotating updraft off this storm. So, we got to watch this area up here, probably dealing with better wind energy that supports tornadic activity further up in Nebraska. So we do need to watch any isolated supercells. But you see these storms popping up here in central to eastern Kansas. These could certainly reproduce some very large hail and some damaging winds, and I do think they'll, impact all of eastern Kansas into the overnight hours tomorrow night. Kansas City included, and these storms will be just working their way, and this is as far as we can go across eastern Kansas and starting to move into western Missouri into the overnight hours tomorrow. So be aware of that. This could end up being a bigger day. We might get an upgrade to an enhanced risk for hail. I wouldn't be surprised one bit. So now, talking about dew points, let's talk about the ingredients. So once again, and I always like to re-explain this. Some people are like, dude, you repeat the same stuff every time. I just want to repeat it. So any new people that are viewing, or even people that view a lot and just don't get it, dew points are your thermodynamics. Your thermodynamics include dew points, which is your surface moisture, how humid is it when you walk outside. Your surface temperatures, how warm is it outside? 70s, 80s. Your CAPE values, your storm fuel, how high is that? And then lapse rates. So that's all your thermodynamics. Your kinematics is all your wind energy and all levels of the atmosphere. Is there any kind of forcing mechanism to get these storms going, even if the thermodynamics are working in your favor? Are we getting any rotation at different levels of the atmosphere, directional shear, stuff like that? Let's look at thermodynamics first. So we're just going to focus in on Sunday and Monday. Already waking up Sunday, we have this huge corridor extending north because it's getting pulled north by a low pressure, and flow around low pressure goes like this, right? So it's getting pulled north by this low. So already deep moisture Sunday morning. I mean, we got dew points in the upper 60s, low 70s. And if you don't know what that means, look up on Google dew points compared to what it feels like outside, or narrow that down however way you want in your Google search. But dew points in the 60s, you can definitely feel it's a little humid outside. Dew points in the 70s, it feels muggy, tropical, oppressive, whatever word you want to use. So this is some pretty solid humidity, mugginess for this time of the year, late March all the way up into the Midwest. So we got that moist, humid air extending all the way into the Midwest already Sunday morning. And then we're starting to get into Sunday afternoon. We get these dew points getting well into the 60s, all the way up into Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, Kentucky, points south. Deep moisture for the deep south. Dew points in the 60s. So check that off the box. Sunday afternoon, big day, enhanced risk. We got plenty of moisture surging, plenty of far north in this region. Now we start to get into Monday morning. It begins to flatten out. And you're probably wondering, well, what's going on with the moisture right into here? Well, that's their cold front. But behind any low pressure, there's typically some sort of cold front that sweeps through. And this time of the year, where you're still not deep into the warm months, you still get cold fronts that advance pretty far south. So this cuts off your moisture surge, your moisture source that's extended pretty far north initially, and it begins to get dry again. So we continue to get into Monday midday, and as we're getting into the prime hours of storm development, the afternoon hours, we still got plenty of moisture hanging out around the Gulf coastline, certainly down to Florida, down up into the southeast, all the way through the mid-Atlantic, all the way into the southern New England area. Dew points in the 60s, widespread. It's going to be a humid day across the southeast. It's going to feel like summer Monday across the southeast, and it's going to feel like thunderstorms. So you definitely got plenty of moisture in the atmosphere, which these storms absolutely love. Now, in response to higher moisture in the atmosphere, you typically got higher CAPE levels, higher storm fuel. So already Sunday about midday, early afternoon, you got CAPE values already reaching well over 1,500 joules per kilogram, pockets over 2,000 joules per kilogram, closer to the Gulf coastline. And we continue to move this forward, and we get into Sunday afternoon. Plenty of storm fuel Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, all the way up into Ohio. And I know you're thinking, well, it's only in the hundreds up in Ohio. That's plenty of storm fuel for this setup. We got plenty of wind energy moving over this area, which we'll talk about here in a second. But obviously, you got pretty much rocket fuel down here for these storms in Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, where your CAPE values are, in excess of 2,000 joules per kilogram. So plenty of CAPE in this setup, plenty of storm energy. Now we start to move into, say, Monday. Are we going to get an uptick in CAPE? Right now, you see pockets over 1,000 joules per kilogram. That will be plenty enough fuel to get these storms going. A lot of fuel down here in Louisiana. But you just see a few 100s, not 100s, but like 300, 400, 500 joules per kilogram. Not a whole lot up here, but that will fuel some storms. That's enough to get the job done. And as we're getting into Monday afternoon, it's really uptrended for the southeast. So, CAPE values well over 1,000 joules per kilogram down the Georgia and areas of the Carolinas. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get some sort of enhanced risk for somewhere in the southeast. I do think this could be a bigger severe weather risk than what you've seen over the last couple events. So definitely still plenty of fuel in the southeast, even for Monday. Now, the next thing you look at is kinematics. What kind of flow is going on in the atmosphere? And 500 millibars, which is what you're looking at on your screen, it's about 18,000 feet up in the air. I like to look at this to see if there is enough forcing mechanism to get these storms going. And you're typically going to see that where there is a storm system, a dip in the jet. And you're certainly going to be getting that with a storm system flying over the middle of the country. So as we're getting to Sunday afternoon, plenty of flow. See the wind barb kind of pointing to the southwest or west-southwest. Plenty of flow kind of going right over this area. And if you saw what I just showed you with the dew points, there's plenty of moisture surging up into this area. So what do we call that? Overlapping conditions for severe weather. So plenty of flow going over that moist, fueled air, CAPE value wise. and we're going to get this huge corridor for severe weather. And I think, one of the biggest reasons why we have such a huge and enhanced risk is because we have such a huge area of moisture. I mean, that's really why. But, we're starting to get into, come on, you were working with me. Well, get in motion for me. We get into Sunday evening, just this huge corridor of wind flow coming out the southwest, going right over our right moist air mass. And then we get into Monday morning, we're getting to Monday midday, and then we're getting to Monday afternoon, Monday evening. This solid westerly flow in the upper levels of the atmosphere is rumbling right over this moist air mass all the way up into southern New England. So this is why you got such a huge area that runs a risk of severe weather right here in this region, because moisture is still down here and we still got plenty of flow at 60, 70, 50 knots. Just plenty of a lifting mechanism to get these storms going. Now, one thing you look at when you're trying to narrow down the highest damaging wind threat and tornado threat is that low level jet, 850 millibars. It's about 4,000 to 6,000 feet up in the air. What direction is the flow coming in the lower levels of the atmosphere? Well, we start Sunday morning. We get into Sunday afternoon. Let's go on and take it just to Sunday evening. Low is up here. Flow is coming more out the south in the lower levels. So kind of coming more so out of here. Flow in the upper levels going like this. Not the best colors to use here. But there really isn't any good colors to use. Black, this. So upper levels, lower levels. So they're coming at two different directions at two different areas of the atmosphere. What does that cause? That causes a turning in the atmosphere, a little bit of a spin. And you mix that with the fact that you just have a stronger low-level jet, 40, 50, 55 knots. I mean, that's getting close to interstate speed about a mile above your heads. That certainly is going to mix to the surface in the form of very strong winds. And it will definitely mix to the surface with some of these stronger storms. So, we start to get into, get in motion for me. What you doing? We're starting to get into Monday morning, and the low-level jet gets beefed up one last time across Georgia, the Carolinas, Virginia, and we could have a big windstorm across southern New England as we're getting to Monday afternoon. So that's all the ingredients, guys. It's going to be a pretty big severe weather event. It seems like we've been getting one every 4 to 6 days right now. So it's been active spring so far. But luckily, some of these events have not materialized as high in as they could yet. But you never know when one is. So let's speak on the winter weather side. Let's spend some time on it. Guys, these are ice storm warnings in this purple color. Marquette, Newberry, all my family up here in the UP of Michigan, you guys have ice storm warnings in this purple color. Now, we get into the peninsula region, winter storm warnings in the pink, winter weather advisories in this more, this shade of purple, I would call it, I guess. But we still got winter storm watches all the way down into northern sections of Wisconsin. A lot of hard to pronounce names up through here, so I won't even try. But hopefully you know where you are on the map, that's for sure. But winter weather advisories extending into a few counties in northern Wisconsin. Duluth, winter weather advisories. And we do have winter weather advisories for the far northern counties in Minnesota, North Dakota, and a few counties in Montana. So, yeah, I mean, this is going to be a wild event. And unfortunately, it's not going to get talked about as much because of the severe weather to the south. But there's also winter weather advisories for the Adirondacks, for the entire state of Vermont, and we got winter storm watches up for areas of New Hampshire and Maine. Now, some of these could upgrade to ice storm warnings or winter storm warnings, so just stay tuned. Now, let's speak on the storm system itself. We'll start off this morning. Not a whole lot going on. I would take, if you haven't made any preparations, I would do them this morning. All right, start to get into about midday. Today. It's a little bit too warm for winter weather. Now, far northern and northeast areas of Minnesota, some freezing rain begins to fall, but cold air crashes down. And by the time we get into this evening, hopefully you got whatever you need to get done, because that pink is freezing rain. So the temperatures drop below freezing. It's raining. The only thing that I can say is maybe the temperatures in the upper levels of the atmosphere are a little bit colder than what's being modeled, and you get saved by sleet. But I think regardless, someone's going to get a nasty corridor of freezing rain. But this is around 10, 11, 12 o'clock tonight. Freezing rain taking over the entire UP. Freezing rain up into northeast Minnesota. And this continues. This is round one. There's 2 rounds. We get into Saturday morning. Still freezing rain falling. It begins to kind of ooze south into the upper sections of lower Michigan, northern Wisconsin, and you think it's over, maybe a little break, and then it gears up again. A little bit more colder air to work with this second round, but we start to get, this is like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning. Heavy freezing rain begins to move into northern sections of Wisconsin. Could be all snow up here in Duluth, but this kind of section of like orange, that's sleet, but freezing rain for all of the UP of Michigan just about. This lasts all the way through Sunday morning, through Sunday afternoon. Low tries to form in lower Michigan. That could enhance the precipitation. And I mean, you could round it off with a period of moderate to heavy snow across just anywhere in the upper Midwest. And by Monday morning, it's done. But goodness, it's a weekend-long event. And it just looks like a pretty serious event, guys. You guys are going to have to send me pictures, keep me updated on what's going on, because I just have a feeling this won't get talked about as much because of all the severe weather to the south. But listen, the interior sections of New England, same thing. Nothing, cold air kind of anchored in, and we'll have a crazy temperature gradient up here over the weekend. So we're starting to get into this, like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning tomorrow morning. Pink is freezing rain, blue is snow. Snowing like crazy in far northern New York, Vermont, New Hampshire. We start to take into Saturday morning. Sun's coming up. Where is this corridor of freezing rain going to set up? Is it set up right through the Adirondacks, southern areas of Vermont, New Hampshire, all the way down to the Berkshires? We start to take in, it's about midday Saturday. First round continues. We get into tomorrow evening, and then we get into Sunday morning, and then it just gears up again, but not as much cold air. And this turns into a bigger event for, say, Maine, as we're getting into Sunday evening, as freezing rain and just a nasty wintry mix begins to take over. And then it rounds off with just a washout of rain. So, man, some wild weather up to the north coming in. So let's break it down from west to east. So I got some maps up. We'll take a look at North Dakota. Freezing rain expected for the northern counties in North Dakota. A few 1/100ths of an inch. Some areas get over 1/10 of an inch of ice. Not a huge event for you folks. But the snow forecast... let's see, snow forecast, just a little under an inch. Maybe someone can get an inch. But then we look at Duluth. Now, this is a crazy snow forecast. It's a tough one because they're trying to figure out where that cutoff of freezing rain, sleet, and snow is going to be. So they got 1 to 7 for Ashland. Duluth, 6 inches or less. Silver Bay, you could get an inch, you could get 7. Eli, 1 to 6 inches. The International Falls, 2 to 6 inches of snow. So it's a tough one to figure out. And then we look at ice, and unfortunately, they don't have an updated icing graphic. I don't think they have this one, but it only goes through tomorrow morning. So it stinks. I don't really have a great ice map for you folks, but already some accumulating ice up here just between now and the overnight hours. But we do got some good maps for you folks. This is between in northern Wisconsin. This is between now and 1 a.m. Monday. Not a whole lot of snow in this area. Winchester could get 1 to 6 inches. Eagle River, a trace, maybe 4. Rhinelander, nothing to maybe 2 inches. But the thing I'm worried about in this region is ice. Freezing rain. Antigo, hopefully I said that right, 1/4 to 1/2 inch of ice. Mountain, same thing. Florence, 1/4 to 1/2 inch. Eagle River, 1/4 to 1/2 inch. Rhinelander. There's just this section right here, Wisconsin, getting into the UP. Well, we could just get really bad icing, and just stay tuned, because this could trend higher, this could trend lower, but really, this is a significant ice storm up here in northern areas of Wisconsin, guys. So even a little bit of freezing rain is possible in Green Bay. But you look up here in the UP, this is going to be a high impact winter storm. Same thing, trying to figure out who stays snow. But since the peninsula right here kind of pops up to the north, you kind of go a little bit more into the snow. So Copper Harbor, 6 to 12, Houghton, 5 to 11, Marquette, 3 to 9 inches of snow. The further north, the better the chances to maybe escape the worst ice, but I don't think anybody's going to fully escape it. This is the ice forecast. This is bad, guys. 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of ice is forecast. When you get over 1/2 inch, scattered power outages. 3/4 of an inch, that's when you start to have large trees falling because of the weight of the ice on the branches. All the way down to Gaylord, northern areas of lower Michigan, 1/4 to 1/2 inch of freezing rain is possible. So this is this has the potential to be a historic ice storm up here. So take it serious, guys. Please take this serious. Now, for my friends here in the interior sections in the Northeast, between now and 8 p.m. Sunday, several inches of wet snow will fall. Burlington 4-5, Stowe 6-7, Newport around 6 inches of snow. But the freezing rain is going to be an issue in this region. If you live in the red area, that's where over 1/4 of an inch of freezing rain could fall. So Chelsea looks like a highlight area, 3/10 to 4/10 of an inch of freezing rain forecast. And then we finish it off by looking at Maine and New Hampshire. Several inches of snow, wet snow, will fall in this region. And then we will have an issue with ice. Goodness, man, they're going crazy with the ice in this region. Plymouth, 4/10 to 1/2 an inch of ice. Even has an area in purple here where you could get over 3/4 of an inch of freezing rain. They're really going crazy with the ice here in central and southern New Hampshire. So be aware, guys. I do want to round it off by speaking on, they're already honking the horn at a severe weather threat for next week. This is for Wednesday. Wednesday of next week, another severe weather episode is going to unfold across some of the same areas that are going to get severe weather for Sunday. So we'll speak more on this when we can get past the storm system we're dealing with right now. God bless all y'all. Have a wonderful day. And I'll talk to you again tomorrow morning. There's a chance I might get a video in tonight. Just don't want to guarantee it. God bless all y'all. Have a good one.